Oh, I'm not sure where I should go to. Again, split off in two directions. I think I should go follow this way. Welcome back in part 2 of this movie looking for the Dragon Mountain. I don't know if you remember this part from the previous part 1, but we are still looking for the Dragon Mountain. I was just finishing my story about the Tibetan Lama whose name I forgot, who was telling me about the Wheel of Sharp Weapons returning, and I came here at a place on my walk through the Belgian wilderness where I saw that there was a car parked, which at the camping I also saw because it was the same car like mine. Not my car though. What happened next is I was at that time organizing classes for my teacher. I was involved with a program from a bunch of journalists about Twin Peaks. We did run a mobile number line where people would ask questions and then we would give the answers. So we would be online all the time, have tapes and so on to explain things that people can listen to. And I was informing on the mysticism things. I had been studying also Western esoterics at the University of Amsterdam. So for them it was like natural for me to go there and do that. But with San Hong Soon there were several students trying to organize things, work in their office to try to make it into a big business, because these things happen with a lot of Chinese teachers. They come here, they smell money and they want to become rich, which usually works also for Chinese medicine schools. At the moment when they are getting there, I was managing classes in the Netherlands, Amsterdam area, and I was pretty successful, so I had full classes. A lot of people eventually also graduate and stuff. And one of the people that co-organized, assisted me, he heard about Liu and he became jealous, and he told Master Shan Hong Soon, and Master Shan Hong Soon felt pushed into a corner. And as it is with Chinese masters, when they are working on an individual basis without background, they have to defend their business. So he forced me to make a choice between himself, following him, under him, and guaranteeing that I would never become a main teacher like the other ones, because his daughter had to take over the business, or his son, preferably his son, and they didn't have the right kind of qualities. That was clear. Nice people, not the right qualities. But I consulted the I Ching that time. When I came home, it was a very funny moment, because at the moment when he put me aside, he said, like, I need to talk with you. Everybody went immediately 3 meters backwards in the room that we were in a restaurant in Amsterdam after my class was successfully completed. And there was this like explosion kind of power in the room. That's what you get when you work with Wei Chi teachers, and I've been studying that for a long time, so I know how it works and I know what to do for it. And I have been doing it, very helpful for a while, but it also helps you to become a mystified person in your area, and as a result of that you eventually become victim of your own power. What happens to everybody with power, of course, eventually. So I stopped it, and I went further with the material I got from Liu, because he said, you can't follow me, then you can't come to my classes, you can't organize. So it was quite a big thing for him, and I was okay, I will think about it, and I never seen him again. He died. I hear there are some teachers who have some benefit from following his classes, and they have a little bit of business, but nobody managed to make it more than what he did. And he would not allow that, like many teachers do. They don't allow you to become bigger than them, because it's their family business. And you're also mostly likely not Chinese, so also that is also a break. That is really a problem. I come across that in China many times. Not with all teachers, but with many of them. And as a result of that, when we were getting to that break, I came across Shiye Wang Guangda. Now he's Shiye. At that time he was Master Wang Guangda, Grandmaster. And I met him in Germany and I talked to him a long time after I participated in his classes and see the amazing aspects of moving like a dead tree, darkening the room and so on, while he was doing only one move. And I was like, this is where I have to go to. So he invited me to come to China the next year when I dared, not a good traveler by myself. I went to China to see him. I was able to study with him for a few months before he was diagnosed with cancer, or at least isolated with cancer, because apparently he already knew for a few years he had cancer. And he eventually was taken out of rotation. He was some high master in the Daoist area, and what I hear from other people around him, Chinese teachers, Daoists, he died sitting straight up to go to the next stage in life. So that was great, of course. There's a crossing here, now I need to know where to go to. Oh, I have to go to the left. And when he died, I went to Wudang Mountain because at that time he was in Beijing and he was also in Wuhan. So I stayed in Wuhan for a while, where I learned the breath yoga with a Daoist who was in the Wudang Mountains. This Daoyin is the most close to the immortality practice that I know, especially in combination with the Chongmu Qigong and maybe a little bit of foundation of the Wei Qi practice applied in ritual. Now, when we go from there, I go to Wudang Mountains and I go visit several Kung Fu schools, because Wang Guangde said you have to go there, you will find the right teacher. And I eventually ended up, after seeing Master Yuan, the guy from the Songfeng school, and his teacher, and I was like, these people are too aggressive, they don't fit with my nature. So I kept looking. Eventually I come into the Songfeng school from Sifu Yao Shen, and I take initiation in his miao, his private monastery, so to say. And after a couple of years studying there, going to all kind of places, studying with other people, going to conferences like the World Conference in Boston, in Wuhan, in Wudangshan, no, not in Wuhan, in Chengdu, and in Wudangshan itself in Laoyin. At a certain point the monastery fell apart because before the World Conference there was, because the local governor wanted the feng shui for his own hotel, and he demolished our monastery while everybody was still in. Unfortunately, I was in the Netherlands at that moment taking care of my school, having some problems because my ex-girlfriend disappeared with a lot of the money. Took some time to pick up on things, and eventually now I'm part of the community again, but I'm also very busy with the IOC program and the doctorate and with several other programs, so I see everybody sparingly, so to say. And fortunately for me, I also became involved with Maoshan Daoism, and I'm going to receive my Daoist passport in, I think, 2 weeks from now. So when the movie comes out, maybe 1 week, and then I will be officially a Daoist Maoshan Shangqing monk. That will be great. So you can see how small events, just meeting somebody, can eventually, if you follow up on the important aspects of your life happening, you could go into a proper direction by just allowing yourself to be dragged along. That is called Wu-wei. At the moment when you resist the opportunity for change, your life usually turns either into stagnancy or it becomes worse, and stagnancy eventually also always turns to worse. So take good care of yourself. Make sure, if you come across the right kind of teacher who is going to be able to bring you further, make sure you treasure this teacher and you follow up his advice when he thinks you're ready to go to the next stage. Every teacher has his limits, right? So when you reach that limit, That's great. In immortality practice for Taoists, there are 6 levels. And the 6th level, there are very few who can teach you that. I can bring you very far along, but in the end, you have to do it yourself. So you have to make time. So there are other practices like the earthly immortalism, what the Tibetan Buddhists practice, incarnation, conscious incarnation. That is different, equally good, right? It depends just on what you want to achieve. So very important to see where you want to go to and seek the right kind of teacher with it, but don't force it, because when you force it, every teacher will see the artificiality of it. Because I had so many offers in America, in Europe, from people who said like, oh, look, I can be your manager, I can give you money, and I will make sure it becomes very big. And as a result of becoming very big, I will have a lot of students coming, but they always push themselves between you and your students. And as a result of that, you become isolated, and then you become a sect leader. And that is not good, that's never good. So make sure you make the right choices in your path if you follow a spiritual path. Begin always with medicine. Medicine should always include medicine, Qigong, Dao Yin, some Tai Chi Chuan will be good, and some ritual, some meditation, some food medicine, so that you really have a wide scope. This is what we do at the IOC Daoland program. This is the program that Sun Simiao suggested and what also Zhang Sanfen followed. So without these elements, there is no Taoism. If somebody only teaches Tai Chi Chuan, teach you a little bit of massage or something, that is not the same. When you do acupuncture, it's not holist without all the other things. It is just acupuncture, and that's it. If it is explained according to Western medicine science, it is definitely not Chinese medicine, it's definitely not Taoism. It is Western medicine with needles. Same for your massage. If your massage is explained on the basis of your Western anatomy, then that means there is no Chinese medicine in there. There is just Western medicine. So make sure you have clear what are your choices, why you want to do this, why you want to do that, and follow it. So if you like, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the differences between Buddhist and Taoist teachings. Because certainly in China there are many similarities. When Buddhism came to China, it was first not recognized as Buddhism, it was recognized as a branch of Taoism, because some of the teachings are very similar, apparently, when you speak superficially Chinese. Or when you speak superficially Indian or Chinese, doesn't matter that much. The Buddhists, they were convinced they were practicing Taoism, and at a certain point when it became clear, somewhere during the Han Dynasty, that it was something different, then Tiantai Buddhism was formalized. There were all kind of monasteries where people were studying Buddhism, and Tiantai Buddhism also sent a lot of different kind of writers and researchers to India and to other places. And as a result of that, there was this influx of new Buddhist texts, and also the production of new Buddhist texts. Then later on, Taoism, of course, also learned from Buddhism at the same time. So some aspects were being absorbed in Buddhism, and so especially the ritual part, especially during the formation of Taoism as a monastic thing, because it was never a monastic thing, because Buddhism is a military religion. You should never forget. That's also why they have the bald heads, because then you can't pull on somebody's hair when they're fighting with you. And the Taoists, they kept their long hair, of course, because Buddhism is about the mind and Taoism is about life. Many ideas are very similar. For instance, Buddhism recognizes suffering as the cause of a lot of problems, and they see suffering as a psychological something. So it's a little bit similar to what we do in the West. We blame everybody for their own suffering and we don't take our social responsibility. As a Taoist, that is a little bit weird, because in Taoism the idea of suffering is co-created. We all create suffering, and we have to learn to adapt to it, and we have to learn to change it. We have to be agent of change, so to say. When I was starting my path as a member of Anarchist Society membership, and the squatting movement and all kind of other things. I was very interested in syndicalism, and also later on became involved with some autonomous people. Never radicalized enough to go that deep into it, but in essence you can say that was also the reason why Buddhism on the long term was not doable. When I was in Liège living there, at a certain point they said, like, look, you're really good at these rituals, you're really good at these practices, you should become a monk. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because then I can go much deeper, you get more permissions and stuff. And I seriously considered it, and when I asked about what are the prerequisites, they said, well, you need to cut off your hair, you have to go bald. And I was like, well, I don't have the head for bald. I really like my hair, and already since I was very young, I really enjoyed my long hair. So I said, like, I think I prefer Daoism, because Daoism, you can keep your long hair. Actually, it's a good thing to have your long hair. Not that you keep it your whole life, probably, because eventually you might go bald by nature. But yeah, Daoism looks to place you in the cosmos, while Buddhism tries to put you into the Buddha nature. So these are very big differences, and you have to be aware of that, because their solution, their Eightfold Path and the Pakwa, are not exactly the same. Many practices are overlapping, but the purpose of the practices is very different. So when you go to a teacher asking, are you a Buddhist, are you a Taoist, are you a shamanic type, are you something else, just let everybody know. I am now walking on my way back, because I saw on the map that this road is not going to Dragon Mountain for sure. And there's no side path. I saw references. So what it means basically is that Dragon Mount is a, how do you say this? A mythological place, maybe the right word. It is the name of a walking path. And the walking path, look, this moment, just asphalt, that's not worth it. So I'm now going the other direction. I'm going to have a look at the lake. There's also a lake here with a dam to probably generate electricity or something. Or maybe it feeds the village of Spa somewhere, because that is also somewhere around this area. There was a high point in this path, and I think that was the Dragon Mountain. It was, as many spiritual things, highly unspectacular. So let's call that hill then the Mount Dragon, and in its unspectacularness recognize it for what it is. Here, Mount Dragon, the top of the road. You remember me talking about the fenced parts? How much biodiversity here, but no grazers. Here you can see the difference. Only the stuff that is not being eaten by deer and stuff is left. This is the highest point of Mount Dragon. Yo-ho! We are nowhere! This is Mount Dragon. Nowhere. Great. So this is an observation post. You can sit there for many hours, hopefully see some big animals. I spoke with somebody yesterday. They said they saw here mammoths and dinosaurs. Adam and Eve walked around here too. They were still naked. So the stories about Adam and Eve getting dressed, that's just a fantasy. So after I came back from Nepal, I started my own school with Chinese medicine. I graduated at that time. I studied, of course, Chinese medicine with Shen Sun, and I went to Shenzhou University, and I studied herbal medicine, acupuncture, massage, and so on. And it was fun while it lasted, but it also was very limited. Most of the things Chinese medicine related are quite limited because they try to deny the past, they try to integrate with the West, and as a result of that, a lot of things get lost. So my seeking has always been to more authentic stuff. Liu was the most authentic, and you can never be sure if you got the real authentic stuff. But what is important, I think, is that Vajrayana and Daoism are most similar. They share a particular kind of tantric view, you can say. But Vajrayana and Mahayana, they were both developed in China. The Tibetans learned their first Buddhist things not through the Himalaya from Indian yogis or something coming there, but they learned this from Daoist seeking isolation, and Tibet was very isolated. The Buddhism that they took with them, Tiantai Buddhism, was integrating a lot of Daoist things. Shangxing Daoism is very much about psychophysical meditations, inward meditations, and but also, for instance, Professor Eskildsen suggests is that they moved west more and more behind Chengdu into the Tibetan plateau, and this, when they brought also Buddhist things with them, they also brought these tantric views with them, and the base Buddhism for China was always Mahayana, and then the elite Buddhism was much more Daoist, and that became the Vajrayana, the Thunder school. Of course, in Daoism, Thunder magic always has been a very important thing, difficult to learn. I must have somewhere a video of me praying with Liège, the god of the thunder in Wudang Mountains. You could otherwise look it up. There's a video on it somewhere in my channel. Two forms, they share a particular kind of idea about teachings from major teachers like Zhang Daoling or Milarepa or Nagarjuna and other people who, Panchen Lama, who, not Panchen Lama, what's his name? Oh, I forget for a moment, but that Guru Rinpoche and Zhang Daoling and other people, they left behind in nature, in the clouds, in the landscape, all kind of teachings, secret teachings about Tao, and it is up to the individual students to find those teachings, and this is something that really binds the two together. I think in the end my Daoism is pretty much transcultural, in the sense that I look at the Daoist authentic practices and I try to be as complete as possible also in my own work, for my students and for the world around me, because Daoism is highly political. It's not isolated in a monastery or anything like that. It is engaged with the world, and it also has elements of Tibetan Buddhism, because I happen to know much about the Tibetan Buddhist theoretical framework, which is also at the root of much of Korea and Japan. Mahayana teachings and Vajrayana teachings in some form or another. Wudang Mountain seems to be at the center of a lot of things, because Korean Daoism and Daoist Daoism, Japanese Daoism all come originally from there. You see sects of Daoism in Taiwan, and these Taiwanese sects also root back to the same universalist form of Daoism that you find in the Wudang Mountain. The different schools of Daoism, of course, they all have different kind of purposes, and they have different kind of goals and different kind of methods, so you can't make everything into one Taoism, just like you cannot say there's only one Chi or anything like that. There is an original Chi, that's the only thing you can say. But this Terma thing, which also is part of Taoism, the thunder magic, these kind of things, they are what binds the two together. Also, of course, I have been raised in the West, so I have a good doses of Christian trauma, which I can use. My family were Protestants, Reformed, something like this. My grandmother was pretty strict, and that was fun. So we had. Oh, no, I don't know where to go to. There's a road here. Okay, we'll have to find something. But anyway, this gives a transcultural view because you have perspectives from different areas.
By the way, did you know that from the birds you can not only make medicine from the bark, but you can also eat the leaves? They're actually pretty good if you have them fresh and properly sauteed.
One more thing that binds Taoism and Tibetan Buddhism, Buddhism in general, I think, is that they both dislike wealth. Anybody who has wealth is suspect. Anybody who has power is suspect. Anybody who is manipulating other people, of course, is suspect. I have a list of something like 50 different kind of things that make somebody suspect as a Daoist. These are called obstructions. I will publish it in the article that comes with this for the Patreon. The reason for this is that wealth corrupts, power corrupts. It's just normal. You get used to it, and everything you get used to becomes worse. If you are used to your disease also aggravates. So you have to continuously struggle with your disease, try to remain fit and healthy so you do not become dependent on medication, because medication will make you more sick. It does namely not solve the problem, it just makes it more bearable. That's all what it does. Have you ever heard of a disease that is actually cured by medicine or by operations? No. You didn't have pain or you didn't suffer so directly, but on the long term things always became worse.